And here we are again, back to the TechLounge studio at the Intel booth in Hall 3 of Mobile World Congress 2015 in beautiful and sunny Barcelona. I'm very glad to have Solange Jacobs-Randolph over here. You're the director of the marketing program at DivX.
That's right. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Sasha.
That's very exciting. Actually, I pitched you already a little bit before, we got into this interview because, what you guys did to video codecs is basically like, okay, how can I find the best comparison right now? I think there is no comparison.
Take your time. Go ahead.
There is no comparison for this right now. Everyone is using your codec. I'm pretty sure about this. Not so many people actually know what you're really doing.
Yeah.
Besides of just offering this amazing codec.
Well, certainly, DivX started out at its core as a codec technology, short for compression, decompression. But since then, we've expanded tremendously, and we now have an entire ecosystem. More than 1 billion, our software has been downloaded more than 1 billion times. About a little bit over 10 years ago, we got into the consumer electronics licensing business.
Yeah.
And as of, I think, a year ago, we had shipped more than 1 billion CE devices from the world's largest CE manufacturers as well. So, the Samsungs, LGs, Panasonic, Toshibas of the world all have everything from mobile phones all the way through to, 4K TVs that if you see that DivX logo on it, it's guaranteed to play back your DivX video.
Let's say you're quite successful in this market.
Well, been around for a little while.
So over 1 billion devices. Your codec got downloaded over 1 billion times. Mm-hmm. Geez, what's next for you?
Well,
you've already conquered the world.
There's always more to do, Sasha. There's always better and more video to bring people. As you know, the world's changing just in terms of video consumption. It's not only about watching video on your PC anymore like it was, when we first started. Yeah. It's not only about watching video in your living room. People expect video everywhere. And so that's what we've been working on. So, across multiple platforms, we're enabling not only, like live and on-demand video streaming because we live in a connected world and people expect to have their video anywhere, anytime, and on any device. And DivX has really been a leader in that.
It was a huge challenge to make your way from the desktop, from the notebook, now finally onto devices that fit in the palm of your hands.
Well, the biggest challenges, I would say, is just making sure that we were always delivering an excellent, high-quality consumer experience. I think if you build great products, they will come. And so we've done that. Our certification program on the hardware side, every device that comes into our certification lab is touched by engineers, and we guarantee an experience. So that device is supposed to do video up to the certain quality at the profiles that we specify. It has to, have reliable performance, and there are all these checks that these devices go through before they're allowed to carry that logo that is a symbol of, interoperability and high quality video playback.
Yeah. It was quite interesting to see. I remember that was like back in 2002 or so. I was working in the embedded industry at that time, and we were having our own embedded Linux distribution, and we've had drivers that could run the DivX codec, hardware accelerated, on a low power consumption device, and it really changed the way that people were capable or able to watch videos on little set-top boxes at that time with all these kind of high-end CPUs behind this because they need to crunch through this code.
Exactly.
And now you're doing all of this on those small little devices. So when are you coming to smartwatches?
Give us a moment. This is a lot of what we've been working with Intel on for a while. It's about, accelerating the experience and hardware acceleration also. So some of the things that we've done we've worked with Intel for a number of years. Most recently, we've been focusing on improving the 4K viewing experience, not only on PCs but also on devices. Focus very much on optimizing 4K video playback. We have enabled we've enabled 4K 60p playback on Intel-based systems, and continue to work to optimize and improve, and done some really great little tweaks in our software to enable that better quality experience for people who are using Intel-based hardware devices.
Yeah. I remember the switch from our traditional NTSC or PAL resolutions over to 1080p, and then to see this transition from 1080p to 4K, that's a huge step. And with all these additional data and additional pixels that you have to manage right now, must be a huge challenge for your developers.
Well, it's a ton of beautiful, pixels, and that means really huge file sizes, which makes delivery across the internet very difficult, which is why HEVC, the latest kind of greatest compression standard, is so key and is going to drive the delivery of 4K video content. So DivX was one of the first companies to deliver an HEVC playback and creation experience to consumers. Back in September 2013, we launched DivX 10 software, and our players supported HEVC. And today we're seeing people are creating, using the DivX converter, HEVC videos to the tune of like 50,000 files a month. We know that there's a lot of content out there. Converter in general, I think we're doing 1.7 million file conversions a month, and a good number of that is HEVC and growing. HEVC is offered as an add-on plugin to the free DivX software bundle that's available on DivX.com, and we're getting, I've had 5 million people take it, so there is obviously an interest. When HEVC first kind of came out, everyone said, the analysts said, HEVC is going to take a long time to really, become part of the mainstream. And, we kind of put our flag in the ground and we said, well, DivX is going to be the company to accelerate HEVC adoption across the industry. And we absolutely have done that on the software side. As I said, people are playing, people are creating using our tools. And also on the hardware side, last year we certified one of the first HEVC capable devices that's doing 4K video. We're working with a number of chip manufacturers just, across the entire supply chain to make sure that, consumers want it. They want great quality video. And we're making sure that from the chip makers to the PC makers to, everyone who's kind of driving that capability to enjoy 4K video, that we're working with them to enable our 4K for consumers.
What a lot of people sometimes forget about this is that we're selling about 300 to 400 million devices with cameras that are capable of shooting 4K videos every year, right? And all these amazing new smartphones that are coming to the market. So this is also heavily driven by user-generated content.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of talk right now, I can buy a 4K TV in the stores, but what content am I going to play on it? And our answer to that is the content is going to start with user-generated content before we get to more premium 4K experiences, movies and television, TV shows in 4K. So I think I looked at a report recently, and we know that 100 million smartphones that are capable of 4K either capture or playback are hitting the market in 2015. So these phones are already in people's hands. We're talking about the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the recently announced S6, the LG G3. In some capacity, even the iPhone 6 Plus, in some capacity, they're enabling 4K either on the capture side or on the playback side. My concern is, what are people doing with those files? I mean, they shouldn't get stuck on phones like most of the video on my phone, just stuck on my phone, So we're actually working on a new mobile application that's going to enable 4K video creation on the phone, private sharing to the cloud, and then you can share with groups to either to privately share that beautiful 4K content with your grandma who lives across the country, and if she has a smart TV that has the app on it that we will enable for both mobile and smart TV platforms, she'll be able to watch that video in glorious 4K quality. So I'm really excited about that, and we're looking forward to introducing that app to the market later this year.
And codecs more important than ever, especially when we're talking about a mobile environment, especially when we're talking about data plans and the bandwidth that we're having.
Absolutely.
Yes, we can see Cat 6 over here, UMTS, and what this imaginary 450 Mbits download that we never ever get somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years. But at least, it looks good on a spec sheet, right?
Right.
And so for you guys, it's still an open market.
Absolutely. There's still a lot of opportunity out there. For the end consumer, I don't really expect them to know that much about codecs, right? This is kind of under the hood. This is stuff that maybe you and I are thinking about. The developers back at our office are thinking about codecs. But end users, I would say they shouldn't have to think about it. If they get a great video experience, why should they care what codec is enabling that? But the reality is that the promise of HEVC is that it's going to deliver bitrate savings of up to 50% over AVC. And we're seeing that today in a lot of the testing that we're doing. The main concept team is a part of our company, and we've been kind of one company for a number of years now. I think 2007 is when DivX first acquired Main Concept, and they're the codec experts. And our core technology is built based on Main Concept, and we're just taking that great technology that's enabling smaller file sizes, but still at beautiful quality video, and then enabling that and starting with software, giving it to consumers, create some video, and then you might want to take that to your living room, and you might want to then take that onto your mobile phone and just kind of enjoy the experience. But yeah, in general, my mother-in-law and my cousin who doesn't work in technology is not thinking about codecs, and I don't think the vast majority of consumers out there should be. For us, it's if it works, if it's high quality, we're happy to have that associated with our technology.
You've already mentioned your relationship with Intel. So just give us a little bit of an idea of, are you closely working together also with the chip developers or the silicon developers, to talk with them about the drivers and how can you optimize your codec to their hardware, and also how to give them feedback for their hardware so that they can optimize it to your codec? I think this is not a one-way street. Absolutely,
you're absolutely right. It's a two-way street. With Intel, the focus has been all about hardware acceleration for 4K, both playback and on the encoding side. So we've done a number of great things to date. I talked about 4K 60p video that we're helping to very slowly improve the decoding quality in the DivX player. So if you download DivX player right now and you happen to get your hands on some great 4K P60 content, it's going to play back. It's going to play back well. I think people are going to be surprised at the great quality that they're getting today from technology that some people still think is years out. We're doing it today on powerful PCs, but the kind of requirements for that level of power in the PC are dropping as we continue to work with folks like Intel. We're a leader in digital video. We want to work with other leaders like Intel to bring consumers great quality video experiences ultimately.
Just to make sure, you also offer some content, some samples on your website so people can really see,
Yes.
the differences especially.
Yeah, we have, we offer both AVC and HEVC clips in 4K. And the work we've done with Intel includes optimizing that playback. So in some of our preliminary testing, we're seeing 4K AVC decode. The CPU performance is 30% more efficient on Bay Trail systems. And then we've also done some preliminary testing on Broadwell, and we're seeing like an 80% CPU savings there in terms of the hardware decoding versus software decoding. So I think we keep making tweaks to our software. We keep putting it out kind of to the industry and building on that, and we're just going to keep getting better and better. And soon any old $500 laptop is going to be able to play back the highest quality content. So.
I still think it's absolutely amazing. Once again, this development that happened over the last years, to see now a 4K video with 60 frames a second running on a piece of silicon that only consumes 5 watts.
Yeah.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. Right? Like 15 years ago, first of all,
a room full of hardware.
Exactly. There was no CPU on the consumer market available that could ever run 4K.
Right.
60, not even say 6 frames a second. Right? So and now this is happening on mobile devices.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing.
Well, the industry's, moving at a rapid pace. Technology continues to get better, and we want to continue to lead that charge when it comes to video.
I will never, ever forget this moment. That was at IFA, I think, 2009. I was just walking through the halls, and I walked over the Sharp booth, and then I just all of a sudden stopped and said, what was that? So I looked to the right side, and they had a demo of it was an 85-inch 8K screen, and they've had a demo from NHK, the Japanese TV station,
Yes.
about a cherry blossom environment. I said, oh my God, I've never ever seen anything like this in my life. I thought, compare this to 3D, I would never ever want to watch a 3D movie again. It just makes no sense. This was so... I wouldn't say it was so real that it almost seems to be unreal. I just wanted to walk into the screen.
Touch the cherry blossoms.
Exactly. You immediately have this ego just, oh my God, I want to touch this.
Yeah.
And this is also happening, right? I mean, sooner or later, we're going to get the 8K device.
Oh, it's coming. Absolutely, it's coming.
So are you already working on future codecs to manage 8K?
Well, I can't give away all the secrets, but I mean, in order to stay a leader in next generation technology, you always have to be, steps ahead, years ahead, and thinking about what is coming next. So we've, first at this point, it's about making better 4K, and then we'll get to 8K. We're talking about HDR. We're talking about other. It's not just more pixels; it's better quality pixels, and then making sure that's DivX is in the business of building ecosystems. It doesn't matter if we have great software that's creating great quality video if it's stuck on your computer or it's stuck somewhere, right? So we then build the entire ecosystem of CE devices to enable, playback, local playback, file streaming to those devices. We just recently certified Broadcom, major chip maker, and they're doing DivX HEVC streaming up to 4K on those chipsets. So you'll start seeing those chipsets getting into devices, and then you'll start seeing more logos on devices doing 4K. But yes, and 8K is coming next, and I expect, in markets like in Japan, there's a lot of work around 4K. So yes, we're absolutely interested in continuing to lead the charge on video on all fronts.
In terms of the development and the growth rate of resolution, can you somehow give us an idea of how 1080p to 4K relates to the ordinary NTSC that we had in the past to 1080p, right? The adoption rate is it much faster and higher out there to make this transition over to 4K?
I think we are seeing massive adoption. I mean, we've paid a lot of attention to what's happening in the 4K market. It started out, we've been working on it for a number of years. I said we first launched our HEVC software in September 2013 to enable 4K, but we were doing demos of that previous year, at least a year or two before that. And yes, I think that at the start, the analysts were very, shall we say, conservative in their forecast. Understandably so, because people like DivX maybe hadn't put the word out enough about what we were doing. But I mean, just look at this past holiday shopping season in the US, for example. Every analyst that we talked to has gone back to reconfigure their forecast and to change the numbers. We're seeing a ton of 4K TVs hitting the market, even while content is still, for the most part, in short supply. But yes, folks are out there, they're buying TVs that are supporting 4K at an alarming rate. So I expect that transition is going to happen much faster than previous transitions to kind of the next big resolution has happened. Yeah.
Especially when we're looking at the price of the displays on the panels, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's say 3 years ago, if you wanted to buy a 50 or 55-inch Sony 4K, that was $25,000.
Yes.
Now you can buy a 4K 50-inch Vizio for $1,000.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
It's not a really good investment into the hardware, I tell you that. So you might want to consider to invest into something else. But right now you can buy $599, $699, 27-inch screens 4K. So it's happening on the desktop market. And of course, with all these cameras that we have in the mobile device, it's really driving the content to your platform. So I'm super excited about what's happening with 4K, and of course also with you guys in the future. Because once again, I can't thank you enough. Because I mean, even for us, while I still had to develop right at that time, you really made our life much easier. You actually created, very unique arguments to sell our products at that time, just to show people, that we could run on on a small little mini ITX mainboard, a DivX codec like with 2% of CPU load. That was the whole PC. The whole consumption of the PC was like 15 watts, and that was back in 2002.
Right.
And so for some people, this was just complete science fiction at that time. And you guys made it possible with a highly optimized codec.
I can't take personal credit. We have a ton of DivX developers around the world who've been working on this for a very long time. But yes, we're all very proud that we, as DivX, have been able to bring joy to the masses and deliver great quality video experiences. That's what it's about, you know. Entertainment connects people. This is kind of, you know, it's not just about video and text and specs. Like I want video means something to me. You can share these amazing experiences through video. Think about the movies, all of the emotive experiences you have with all of the great content that's out there, and ultimately that's what it's about. So it's about, we just want to power the technology behind it to make those experiences possible.
Over 1 billion downloads, over 1 billion CE devices with your codecs in the hands of users out there. So
our player is launched more than 600 times a minute. You know, I said already the 1.7 million files our users are creating, they're converting from, you know, whatever format into the DivX format. And why are they doing that? It's because we have an ecosystem and they want to be able to do something with that video, not just huddle around the PC and watch it. So yes, I'm very proud that we've been able to help bring great video to the world, and we've hit some good numbers along the way.
I wish you all the best to enable the next billion customers running the DivX code on devices. Thank you so much, Solange, for being here in our Tech Lounge. And we are going to have a little break of like some 5 minutes. And then we have Steve Chippy Payne over here is going to interview Chris Price from iConsole. So we're going to be back soon.
Thank you so much for having me,
Thank
Sasha.
you.
It's a pleasure.